Hello and welcome to what is episode 8 of Chewing the Fat with me, Phil Copley.
And me, Adam Furman.
Welcome to all of our regular listeners. Thank you ever so much for tuning in and taking the time to listen to us. And for any new listeners out there, welcome as well. We hope you enjoy the show. We've got a fantastic guest on this week.
Really enjoyable.
Yes, very, very enjoyable chat with Andrew Rathbun from Kroll. So we've got a great interview with him, kind of talking about a lot of the community work he does and the DFIR Discord server, which he administers and pretty much runs, and also talking a lot about GitHub and how you guys can help contribute to some of the fantastic projects he's in.
Yeah, and you don't have to be a coder to contribute, and Andrew covers that in great detail. And to be honest, I am completely unaware of GitHub. I've used it, I've pulled code from it and stuff, but I must get into contributing.
Yes, I'm very much the same. I keep promising myself I'm going to learn more about Git and become better and more proficient at Git and GitHub, but it's time. It's one of those things, isn't it? So, one thing that we realised doing our interview, which we'll obviously talk about, is that Andrew has created a learning playground on GitHub where you can just learn how to use GitHub. Yeah, which I think is great. So I set myself some homework. No,
you did, and you set me some.
Yeah, we've both got homework for the Christmas holidays.
Thanks very much.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. Episode 8. Obviously, we are recording this mid-December, so happy holidays and festive season greetings to you all as well. Without further ado, shall we talk about some news?
Before we go on to news, want to say thank you for our nomination.
Yes. We had a nomination. Was it Kevin?
It was Kevin.
Kevin, thank you ever so much. It was. I remember messaging him and saying, "Oh, thanks ever so much for the nomination."
We're a big fan of the Start Me page that Kevin's put together.
Massive fans. Yes. Very humbled to have been included on it. But the fact that he's nominated us for a forensic forecast.
Yeah. Absolutely touched.
Whether or not it goes anywhere, just the fact that we've been nominated. It's so humbling.
I was blown away.
Our first year of doing a podcast, and we get nominated for it. So, and we have to say a big thank you, I think, to all of our guests and all of our listeners
for taking the time.
Yeah, so everyone who supported the channel and supported the pod, thank you. So, there's some feels going on there. Definitely some feels going on there. It's a good job it's not later on in the month, though. It'd be a little bit emotional.
But before Phil wells up, let's get on to some industry news.
Yes, I'll hold back the tears. I'm not going to cry. Okay, so first thing that I wanted to mention was the OSDF Con. So the Open Source Digital Forensics Conference. Happens every year. It's usually hosted and run by Basis Technology. Brian Carrier does a lot of the work, and his team of people. And that was kind of right at the beginning of the month that happened. If you've never dialed into it before or never listened to it, it is free to attend. With COVID and all that kind of stuff, they've gone digital and it's all online with some fantastic talks, and you can learn all about open source tools and projects and various other bits and pieces that are all going on. We'll put a link, as always, in the description. But all of the I don't know if all of them are, I haven't double checked, but a lot of the presentations are available to watch the recordings of.
That's brilliant.
If you're not familiar with it, go there, get signed up for information, because they'll notify you when the next conference is going to come around. And you can contribute. They do like an autopsy module competition where you can write modules and bits and pieces and things like that. So it's really, really good community and great fun. So
that's good.
Yeah, so just wanted to do a shout out for them. Also, Ian Whiffen has done a piece on art extraction and about SSHing into iPhones.
Yeah, which is great. I think Ian in the article says it's not forensically sound, it's purely for research, purely for validation. You know, if you want to validate findings that have come out of tools or that you've passed yourself, great. And Ian's tool, Artex, is brilliant.
It is, yes. Yeah. It is really, really good. And it's just nice kind of having a method of being able to kind of go in and have a look at these devices, which you can, with the majority of them, you can jailbreak them with checkra1n.
Yeah.
And then use free tools just to kind of go in and SSH and stuff. It's great if you're being a bit curious and want to have a look and see how it's done. And he guides you through it. So, go and have a
massive
look.
Kudos to Ian again.
Yeah, absolutely. Then the next bit you flagged up to me, I wasn't aware of this. I'm clearly out of the loop.
Yeah, so I'd seen it in the news, and then we'd got an email from our friend Josh, Josh Hickman. Pretty much he was riding on the calm of the storm before it comes with Log4j for anyone in sort of incident response. Condolences.
Yes, especially this time of year, just before Christmas.
Yeah, they've given it the severity of 10, which I think has only ever happened like 3 times before.
Yeah, I think there's suggestions that it's possibly the biggest data security issues for like the last decade or something.
Yeah, but I found a great analogy of it on LinkedIn.
You did, and you put it right here on my laptop so that I can read it. Yes, delegation. Thank you so much for that. I guess I do it enough. So it's my turn to do some work. So this was just a little piece from Rob Behrens from Manager Tech Security at Coolblue. Was the posting. So it's all on LinkedIn, so you can go and have a look. So he says the Log4j vulnerability explained for people without IT knowledge. So he says, my girlfriend asked me how bad this Log4j vulnerability really is and why it's so hard to solve. She doesn't have die-hard IT knowledge, so I tried to explain it in the most basic way I could, which, to be honest, I was quite pleased with.
Yeah, and I think this is a good lesson for anyone in sort of this industry, because you've got to master the skill of being able to explain digital evidence to laymen.
Yes,
you know, in a court. So I think this is a good way. So this is very topical on Log4j, and
and it's a really nice way if you're digital forensics, but not necessarily security and IR and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. You might not actually be familiar with this stuff. So it's good. So he's described it as there is this screw that is used in all types of door locks. The reason this screw is being used is because it is free and does the job very well. But it turns out that it can easily be broken to get access to that door. The problem is that it is not known which locks exactly use the screw. So everyone has to check every lock on every door they are using to see if it uses that screw and need to fix it. Yeah. Quite good analogy. As time progresses, it turns out it is not only door locks, but car locks, vault locks, etc. that are also affected. So basically, every lock worldwide needs to be checked to see if it has the broken screw. If it does, it needs to be fixed immediately. Yeah. Again, you're getting the picture now, aren't you? So some locks might not be easily accessible because they are in a house or building that has other types of locks and security. So they don't need to be fixed immediately, but you really want to do it ASAP because someone might come in another time.
Yeah.
Some locks can be replaced by the owner itself, but sometimes you are dependent on the manufacturer of the product that contains the lock. The difference between the real and digital world is that in the digital world, attacks on the lock can happen from anywhere. The good thing is that replacing all the screws can also be done from almost anywhere and simultaneously. So,
great, yeah,
brilliant. So I really liked that.
Yeah.
So if you really good analogy, if you've ever kind of not done that kind of thing before for court and all that kind of stuff, just try writing something similar.
Yeah, simple as that.
Yeah. But anyone who's going to be dealing with Log4j over the coming weeks and months,
our condolences.
Our condolences. We do feel for you. That's going to be one big headache. It is. Yeah. If you're not sure, if you're not familiar with it, it's all around Java.
Yes, it is a
Java thing. Yeah, which is why it's in millions and millions of things, and all over the place. So that'll be fun. We'll put a link to the Hacker News article about it, actually in the description. So if you want to have a read of that, and that links to other things as well. So go and have a look. Then there was the SANS Cyber Threat Intelligence Conference, which is both in person and online. The only reason I'm mentioning it, it's in January 2022, so next month. And it is, as far as I can tell, free.
Best part.
Yeah. Free. So Again, put a link in the description. Go check it out if you want to dial into that. Might be quite good.
Should imagine there may be a Log4j presentation.
I imagine that, the Cyber Threat Intelligence Conference might have a Log4j.
Unless people are sick of it by then.
Yes, maybe. Or maybe it's the elephant in the room. They don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
Just kind of leave it to one side, maybe. You start mentioning it and the whole room starts breaking down in tears, A
bit like us with ISA.
yeah, exactly. And then last but not least, there was just a little fun. I love my little tools. Love them a little. And we talk about GitHub, so this all feels quite relevant as well. I found on GitHub a new little repo, which is called logo-ls. If you do any command line stuff in Linux systems, then ls standing for list, kind of listing out what's in the kind of directory that you're currently within. Logo LS is just a simple little tool. You can download it, install it, and it allows you to do an ls command, but it doesn't just list it all in text. It actually adds little icons and logos next to the artifacts that you're using that are relevant to the artifacts.
Nice.
So I thought that was really cool. Yeah, kind of in the terminal, get some little icons and stuff appearing.
But what are the icons like? Are they retro 8-bit? Are they going to please Briggs?
They're kind of like coloured line diagrams almost.
Yeah.
So they're quite classy, quite contemporary.
Nice.
So I like. Yeah, they're not like Windows 95 or Windows 3.1 or something. Pixelated nonsense.
Yeah, they haven't been done in paint.
Yeah, it doesn't look like I've done. So I'll put that in the description as well. So I just thought
saying
that was
that,
cute.
We still need more entries for the sticker competition.
We do.
So we had a very good one from DFIR Science.
We did.
Yep, very good. But Martin, he's still done sort of the main one, hasn't he?
He has. Yeah. He basically replicated the sticker.
Yeah.
Almost exactly. All by his own hand.
Yeah. And I think Kevin Pagano said he was going to do one, but we're still waiting for it.
Yes. So Kevin, thank you for the nomination. But kind of pull your finger out, mate. Where's the sticker? Come on, where's the sticker? Forget the nomination. Where's the stickers?
Yeah.
Looking forward to some more of those. Hopefully.
Yeah. Hopefully, if people get a bit of time over Christmas, then get drawing.
Exactly. It's as if it knew.
Yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't that the computer behind us went to sleep and just turned the screen off. We've been relegated this week, this month, into a very, very small, tiny little, very, very warm office.
It's very warm.
The fact that we're both in t-shirts.
Maybe only t-shirts for those on video because we have a table.
Yeah, so I'm not standing up. Despite the fact that it's kind of like about 3 degrees outside.
Yeah.
It's just so warm in here. It's ridiculous. So anyway, so that's the news. That is the news. We do have our interview with Andrew is one of our traditional kind of quite long
goes
chats.
off on a tangent.
We do have quite a long chat. Great laugh, lovely person. Thank you ever so much, Andrew. But without further ado, shall we cut across to our special guest?
Let's do it.
And here we are. Here we are with the man, the legend that is Andrew Rathbun.
Yeah.
Andrew, welcome ever so much to the show.
Thank you so much, guys. Appreciate it. Happy to be here.
No, thank you. Thank you. It's an absolute pleasure and an honour to have you with us. We're really looking forward to this.
Yeah, we've been trying to get this sorted for a while now.
We have.
Andrew's a busy man.
He is. Yes, we're finding out.
Going to be even busier.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, and I have a slight suspicion that I'm going to be calling my favourite phrase of the show and saying I'm conscious of time because I imagine we're going to be going on a fair bit. So, so it sounds like you've got a lot of projects going on that we're very, very keen to hear about. So
yes, I do a lot with my very little free time. having a 3-year-old.
Yeah.
Yes, and father of a young child as well. I did. I tip my. If I had a hat, I'd tip it. So,
because
well done to you,
Phil. You don't have children at the
I do
moment,
not.
and Phil always says to me, "Oh, come on the Xbox, come and play a game." And I'm like, Phil, I've got a toddler.
Yeah, yes, yep. I haven't played very many video games the last 3 years. Let's just put it that way.
I do forget about that sometimes.
Yeah,
it's in my own little world.
Not that I don't want to. It's just, he's got other ideas.
Yes. He dictates your time now.
He does.
You're just a passenger in life.
That is very true. That is very true.
Yeah. And when you can play video games again, he's going to be better than you anyway, so you won't want to play.
That's also true. Yes. It might take him a bit, though.
Yeah. A little bit of training.
Oh, there's a little bit of fighting talk there.
Yeah.
Yes, but thank you ever so much for coming on the show. For those of you who are listening, who met, I can't imagine there's that many who aren't aware of Andrew, because you're very, very prevalent and kind of out there in the community and doing an awful lot. But Andrew is, and hopefully you can tell us a little bit about your background, but former law enforcement, runs and administers the DFIR Discord server, so if you've got any questions about it, this is the man to ask. Senior associate at Kroll.
Correct.
As well, doing a lot of DFIR type stuff, incident response, things like that. Contributor to the community on GitHub, which we're going to hear lots about later. You do a lot for, am I right in thinking you do a lot for AboutDFIR as well?
That's correct as well, yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So fingers, pies, lots.
Yep. And I did it all to myself, I promise. No one's forcing me. But hey, that's the nature of passion projects, though.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but for those new to DFIR and and for us as well, I guess I'm very curious. How did you find yourself from law enforcement into this wonderful world of crazy digital stuff that we now do?
So I've always liked technology. I've always been kind of a nerd. And as I became of age to go to college, well, first of all, I should probably say I went to the United States Marine Corps, the military, after high school. And so I did a tour in Iraq. I was a rifleman. So I was in combat for about 7 months in Fallujah, Iraq. And so I came back and, obviously I had a lot of life experience as a 19-year-old.
Yeah.
I really liked the training that I had. I liked our mission over there, effectively world police, for lack of a better term, to oversimplify it.
Yeah.
So I thought, you know what? I could do this at home, and I could shower every day and have a hot meal and sleep in my own bed. I should become a cop, because there were times when I was overseas when I didn't shower for 30 days because we just didn't have the infrastructure. We didn't have running water where we lived.
Yeah.
It was so dangerous. The log trains, as they call it, the logistics trains, never wanted to come out there. They wanted to come out there as little as possible. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
So that's when we would get our water refills, our mail, that sort of thing. So anyways, I'm like, that was kind of a miserable experience over there. I could do this in my own country and it would be a little bit better, quality of life. So that's why I wanted to go into law enforcement. I got my criminal justice degree, sociology degree, became a cop.
So was it the structure you liked? The structure of because when I joined law enforcement, I was ex-military, and it was the same with a lot of the recruits. They'd come from military. I think we like that sort of structure.
Yeah, absolutely, we do. Yep. Everything is very structured, discipline, results. That just kind of catered to my personality at the time. So, and plus, I was an 18-year-old going to boot camp, so I'm very moldable. So I am whatever they make me, right? And that's what they made me. So, yeah,
it worked. Whatever it was, it worked.
It worked. That's right. So I wanted to go down that law enforcement path, and actually come to find out, my mom had a little drawing of when I was in kindergarten. What do you want to be when you grow up? And you draw some awful picture of what you think you want to be. And I drew police officer. I did not know that until I was like, already a cop for a few years. And she's like, yeah, I've had this whole time. I'm like, so apparently I've wanted to be a cop for much longer than I thought I wanted to be a cop.
Yeah.
So anyways, I became a cop in 2012. I was on the road for 4 years. Again, I said I was nerdy. I was the techie guy on night shift, the tech support, at 2 a.m. when something's not working, they call me, and like I have the keys to the building, in terms of the, sysadmin capabilities, and I didn't, but I could at least get them a little bit further than where they were capable of doing that. Rinse and repeat that for 4 years, caught the attention of the administration. They said, hey, you are transitioning to the detective bureau, you're going to do digital forensics. So I'm like, roger that. So I did that. And I was there for 3 years before I left Well, I did digital forensics part-time, so I was doing general cases, know your malicious destruction of property, larcenies, that sort of thing, as well as forensic cases when they would come in. So a lot of phones for like, homicides, extortions, child sexually abusive material. We did a lot of outside agency stuff. So it's not like that was happening at my employer. It was more kind of the Tri-County area where those cases were happening, and they didn't have the resources to do digital forensics, so they brought it to us. And so that was really good exposure to some of those cases that we wouldn't normally see, like in a campus environment. So did that for 3 years as a detective, so 7 years total as a sworn police officer, and then went to the federal government for a year where I did healthcare fraud investigations, so a lot of going to doctors' offices and doing search warrants. Documents and emails was the big thing, so that was kind of the main source of evidence in that kind of white-collar crime.
Yeah.
And then after that, I went to Kroll, where I do incident response now, and I've been doing that for about almost 2 years now. It'll be 2 years in March, this upcoming March. So,
wow.
And that was I don't want to say a rough transition. I'll just say like I didn't realize how much I didn't know. And so I almost felt like my first 6 or 9 months I had to like almost relearn a lot of things or learn a whole bunch of new things because it's a completely different world. But the digital forensics basics and essentials still apply. The principles, they still apply. It's just, it moves faster. It's just a different, knowing what's normal on a system, knowing what's not normal on a system. Like you don't really care when your main evidence is chats and pictures and videos and that sort of thing. It's just a different way of looking at really the same evidence.
Yeah, wow. I mean, that's quite a broad career. Like kind of, all the things that you've done and experienced and kind of getting to where you are. It's that's a lot of experience right there. That's pretty awesome. Nice.
So, and how are Kroll with all of the stuff that you do on the side? Are they supportive of that? I know, like when we spoke with Josh, he said that they were very supportive of the stuff he does for the community. And
extremely supportive, absolutely. No one's ever told me not to do something. Let's just put it that way. So they're very supportive. They just kind of let me do my thing, and I think that's one of my favorite things about being at Kroll is just the freedom. Let me loose. I got energy. I might not have this energy in 15 years, so let me do it now.
That's it. I guess. So go on.
No, I didn't have anything. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say. I imagine they're kind of. They sound like they're the kind of employer. It's kind of like, right, we're going to work you hard, but at the same time, as long as you do the work, then the rest of the time, just do whatever you want to do. As long as you keep getting this stuff done to the good quality that you're doing it.
Correct. Yes, and that's kind of baked into like our time. So we're a utilization-based employer, so they want a certain percentage of your time to be towards like billable client work, that sort of thing, and then the rest of the time. I mean, you can really do whatever you want. So different people do different things. You can do research. You can do study. Whatever it is. So I use that time. I use all of it.
Well, you kind of bake all of those things together, don't you, in the kind of work that you do with the community and everything. So,
yes.
I mean, I'm pretty sure that almost everyone who listens to the show are going to be aware of the DFIR Discord server.
Yeah.
If you don't, then you need to get on it.
And we thanked Andrew before starting. We just thank you again for that. Yeah. That server I mention it on
phenomenal.
Every time I've run a training course, every time I've done a webinar, I always tell people about it. I always get them signed up.
Appreciate it.
About 2 weeks ago, I went into university to do a guest lecture, told the students about it there, get them sign up. Because it's just so community driven.
It is. Just before, I think just this afternoon before we came on the show, my phone was going and there was kind of like some kind of notifications for UK law enforcement people kind of on the DFIR Discord, so asking questions about various stuff. And it's fantastic that people can just feel free to just kind of reach out and speak to all these people that will be able to answer their questions and and support.
I think people feel confident to ask a question there because Phil and I have spoke about it many times about imposter syndrome, and I think behind that server people don't feel that. So there doesn't feel like a stupid question.
Right, and that's kind of what we're going for. And by we, I mean, I guess I'm speaking for myself, but I mean, that's the point of the server is to like eliminate that barrier, to get rid of imposter syndrome as much as you possibly can, right? Because it's always going to be there. I struggle with it sometimes too, but really, I think the thing with imposter syndrome, not to transition that subject, but just put yourself out there once or twice. Realize nothing bad happened to you. Okay, this is okay. Just try it once or twice, and I think that's maybe where a lot of people are just kind of afraid to put themselves out there. But I hope that's the warmest water available is the DFIR Discord server.
Yeah.
Okay, I feel the most comfortable. I'm still not comfortable, but I feel more comfortable here, and hopefully that's just enough to put someone over the edge to ask that quote-unquote stupid question. There's no such thing as stupid questions. The only stupid question is the one that goes unasked, is what I say. So there's no stupid questions because we've all had that before. Your stupid question that you've had, I'm sure I had it probably 5 years ago, but I remember where I came from. So I need you to replace me someday because I would like to retire eventually. So I need to train the future. Ask the question.
Exactly.
Ask the question.
So to start with, the couple of questions. What made you want to start the server, or what made you see the need, and what has been your proudest moment from that server?
Well, I think you kind of answered the first question. It was a need. Because this is back in March of 2018. So leading up to March of 2018, just a little bit of history, we were actually on Freenode on IRC. And it was a mobile forensics IRC channel server. I'm not sure the exact lexicon for that. I believe it's a channel.
I think it was channel on there.
I think it's channel, yeah. That was my only experience with IRC, really, was when we had this mobile forensics. And I think I stumbled upon it in maybe a Teal Tech Google group or something like that. But there's only about 10 of us. Paul Lorentz actually being one of them from Cellbrite, believe it or not.
Okay.
And so eventually there was one time when we were sharing pictures, we'd upload to Imgur or something like that. I'm like, I just started using Discord in my personal life, maybe a month or so before that. I'm like, man, why do I got to take this picture, send it to my email, and then upload it to Imgur, and then paste the link in IRC? I'm like, there's something a little more feature-rich out there. Discord. So I suggested Discord to the group, and then it was created. Shortly after that, it was a mobile forensics Discord. It was not a digital forensics Discord. It wasn't until about, I'm not exactly sure, but probably maybe late 2018, maybe early 2019 when we started getting a lot more people from different backgrounds joining. It wasn't just like law enforcement working mostly phones at the time. We're starting to get private sector people who are working IR. We're starting to get people who are asking questions about computer forensics, but there's only mobile forensics channels. So, where the server is today is because of everyone who has joined and voiced some sort of, hey, this doesn't exist. Where do I ask this question? Oh, that's a good idea. We should make a channel for that. Or, if we make a channel for that, it might not be super active. So maybe, how about I rename this channel that's loosely related to it, and we can kind of combine the topics, JTAG, ISB, or ISP, Flasherbox, all that stuff. Instead of having 3 different channels, let's just put it all in one because it's very related, very niche, that sort of thing. So yeah, and I would say probably the proudest moment. I did probably mid-2019, maybe early 2019, something like that. I did a lot of legwork in advertising. And so if you Google Digital Forensics Discord server, which is how many people find the server, I know this because when they join, they have to say how they found it, or they don't have to say, but some of them do. I found this server by Googling, DFIR Discord or Digital Forensics Discord. I basically planted a lot of seeds in a lot of areas on the internet where if you search for those terms, Digital Forensics Discord, you're pretty much going to see something I posted. And so because of that, we started from 3. It was 3 of us. There's 3 of us on the day it was created. I believe that was March, probably going to get it wrong, March 28th, I think, 2018. And now we're at 8,700, something like that.
Wow.
There was a massive explosion I believe it was 2019, probably with the Magnet Virtual Summit. I think I'm getting the year right. It all blends together, so I apologize if I'm 1 year off. But yeah, I mean,
we'll let you off.
We went up a few thousand within a couple months, and that was when I was like, "Whoa, okay, this has now been accepted."
Yes, yeah.
And then also probably winning the Forensic Forecast Award in 2020 and 2021, it just as a validation, and that's not a me winning the award. That's not me and the mod staff. From the mod staff and I, sorry. That's not the mod staff and I winning that award. That is the community. I'm only one of 8,000 people. I don't make that server. You guys do. Everyone does. I can't do it without you, just like you can't do it without me. So that was a community win. And I think that's probably, not to put all my excitement into like just a silly award show, right? I love that award show, but it was validating. It was very validating. It was like, sweet, because this is the award show for digital forensics. It won it. I'm proud of the community and how it has grown. So.
Incredibly humbling.
Kudos.
Yeah, absolutely. And once again, just thank you for all the work that you do. I know you say that it is for the community, but it wouldn't have happened without the efforts of you and some of the other mods and stuff. So, once again, tip the hat to you and all the work that you've done, because you've helped grow that community and make it what it is today. So, the award was well deserved. Definitely well deserved.
Thank you.
No, you're welcome. You answered one of my other questions. I was going to say why Discord, but you've already kind of gone and covered that. So I'm going to have to scrub that one off my list. I like to think, and I might be kind of stepping out of turn here a little bit, and I might get told off for this. I don't know, but I like to think that some of the work that you did and you and the other mods did with Discord, and the amount of traction that it had, possibly influenced Discord to change from being a purely gaming system to, because they made a big marketing campaign like last year or something, kind of saying, oh, we're now going to be a generic kind of platform. And I like, whether it's right or not, whether it's true or not, I like to think that part of that was down to you guys. So
that would be interesting if that was the case. I have my doubts, but that would be cool,
that would be cool, right?
We're a big server, but as I've come to find out, we're actually a pretty small fish. There's a lot of servers out there, game servers, that are multiple hundreds of thousands of people, and just I think last week or two, the first server hit 1 million members, and I think that's a Discord.
Well, to be honest, Phil and I took part in a business charity gaming event. We did appallingly.
It was Business Fives, wasn't it?
Yeah, where basically it was a team of 5 into Warzone. So we humbled up a team, and we didn't do very well. But that was all organised on Discord.
It was all run on Discord, the whole thing.
It really is a fantastic platform. Like, even when it was gaming centric, I'm just like, it just works. It's just great. It has everything I need, I want, it's free.
And to be honest, even vendors owe you a lot, because it's almost become part of their support channels as well.
People reach out directly, don't they?
That's another thing I think I'm proud of as well, and that's not something that was planned. That was an unintended consequence, is people were effectively using that as a secondary customer service or customer support channel for the various vendors. And I would revise my answer. That's probably the thing I'm most proud of, is the interaction between vendor and customer/examiner. Because sometimes it's not a customer, sometimes just an examiner, but they're pinging a vendor. Maybe examiner doesn't have that tool. I don't think before there ever was that. There was always a little bit of a barrier there, right? It's always behind like a portal that you got to log into, that you got to be a paying customer for, and then you're not just going to BS with these people. You're asking a pointed question, like you have an issue going on that has risen to the level of where you wanted to log in and create a ticket or go on the chat or whatever.
It was worth the effort.
Right. Like something really had like, I can't do this case without solving this issue. I guess I'll. Yeah. But like now, this is like a little bit of more water cooler talk between vendor and customer or end examiner, and I think that's probably the thing I'm most proud of.
And I don't think any vendor, from what I've seen, has ever abused the server either and used it in any way.
No. Everyone seems to play pretty nicely on there, and it's really nice to see from a customer perspective. It's kind of knowing that actually they're all there. And you can just kind of do a little kind of mention to whichever one you need and kind of fire it.
And not receive a hard sell.
Yes, exactly. And it's really not... I mean, I know there's sometimes when they're kind of like, oh, can you DM me and kind of do a direct message and all that kind of stuff. And you don't obviously see those conversations. But I really like it when there is just an open conversation just on the different channels. And you can just kind of use the search kind of box when you think, oh, I wonder if anyone else has asked this before I go and ask it myself. And you can kind of search for stuff. You'll find it on there, and you go, oh yeah, that did happen. And like someone's trying to get into a specific model or make a phone, and you kind of just search the model number, and it'll pop up, and you go, oh, so they had that problem too.
Or they had that problem in May of 2020. and I'm
Yeah.
searching for it today, maybe I can go follow up with that person and say, hey, did you ever solve this? Or, oh, I see they were using X tool or Y tool. I do have Y tool. Maybe I should go look and see if that profile has been updated or if there's any support, like that sort of thing.
Yeah. Or one of the vendors has replied to them and said, "Oh yeah, just use this profile." And
Yes.
this, blah, blah, blah. And then you're just like, "Oh, that's how you do it." And so it's just like this fantastic font of knowledge that's just sitting there. I think it's brilliant.
It's awesome.
I love it.
It's only going to get richer as each day goes on because Discord has unlimited search history. That was one reason why we didn't go to Slack, is because it's not free. Like to make it what I would prefer it to be, it would not be free. So there's that. And then, it's just been great. And it's only going to get better with time, which is amazing. I could do absolutely nothing with the rest of the server for the rest of my life, and that knowledge base is only going to grow as long as people continue to use the server.
Yeah.
And,
which they will.
I think they will. So.
They will, yeah. One thing I will, if anyone is using it, if you find a post that you find useful, I always make a point of actually kind of doing a tick or kind of just an upvote or whatever, something just to kind of say, yeah, thanks ever so much. That was really helpful. Just to let people know. Yeah. So, because I don't know if that many people do that or not. Sometimes maybe they just see it and move on. But I quite like to just acknowledge, like, that solves my problem. Yeah.
And that's a little bit of paying it forward too, because they likely found something historical, so like a year ago or a few months ago, and giving that little thumbs up. Maybe 3 months from now, someone else might have that same problem with that same phone for a homicide or something, and that upvote will be an indicator. Oh, this is probably the post I should look at. I always think about it from the law enforcement. Homicides and child sexually abusive material. If anything you put on there could potentially help someone working one of those cases, so by all means, share your knowledge, because those are like the worst things in humanity, and those crimes need to go solved.
And the thing, because it's global. You can ask a question at any time of the day, 7 days a week, and generally you get a response. And law enforcement is 24/7, so
yes, it is.
It's fantastic for that.
Yeah, you can post something like you finish at like 10 o'clock at night and just post something, and you can wake up the next morning, someone across the road, across the pond, just like, ooh, answered that. There you go.
The first thing I do when I wake up every morning is I do clear out, notifications on my phone that accrued overnight, and of course they're Discord ones, so I usually check every single message just because I like to just have my eyes on everything, just because that's how I learn. That's how I just make sure no one's, doing anything that's going to make us make the news, So, but the UK has a great community over there, especially law enforcement. Like anytime, like you mentioned earlier, anytime someone pings law enforcement UK, all of a sudden you got 10, 15, cops or examiners who work for various departments just chiming in and talking about ISO and all this other stuff I don't have any experience with. It's fantastic.
Lucky you.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
I think Josh was saying though that he was, I think he said he dabbled in ISO and law enforcement.
I don't want to speak for him, but I do know a little bit. Where he worked previously, they did have some sort of ISO compliant.
That's probably why he got out and joined Kroll.
Yeah, he wanted out. But he's
away from ISO.
He's definitely a lot more familiar with it than I am, just because, and that's from experience for him.
Yeah. And I think it was only a couple of weeks ago actually. Someone pinged in at law enforcement actually, and I did a reply to it, and it was all around kind of ISO and documents and policy and procedure and stuff like that. And my background from when I was managing the forensic lab kind of was all around that policy process kind of boring stuff. Leaving everyone else to do the exciting stuff. But they were so appreciative. Just kind of from I didn't answer the question fully, but just that little bit that I could help them with and signpost them. And I gave them the details or kind of mentioned who they should speak to in a particular force. And they said, actually, if you go to them and ask for so-and-so, they'll be able to answer your question. They were like, oh, brilliant, yeah. Thanks.
I think that's the biggest thing and that's why ISO wound so many people. I'm not going to go down that road, don't worry. But I think that's why it wound so many people up, because you had, how many police forces in the UK?
43.
So 43 police forces, and they all had to apply for this accreditation, and they all developed their own operating procedures, all the rest. That is crazy. Why wasn't there just one operating procedure developed nationally?
They were told they weren't allowed to at the start.
But the thing is, what Discord allows is for people to say, hey, have you done an operating procedure for this? Yes, here you go, I'll send it to you. And then you can just it's almost become templated, hasn't it? And it's a bit like people's event logs and a bit for incident response, what logs, and that's where Discord and community is great.
Yes, yeah, and being able to go to your boss and say, I know that so-and-so in this other force is now doing it this way, because I spoke to them last night.
Yeah.
And
this is great.
And we'll do a good link here. So obviously Discord is a great community-based sharing platform.
I know where you're going with this.
And another great platform that you share on is GitHub.
Yes.
So do you want to tell us a little bit about the awesome work you're doing over there?
Yeah. So obviously I work at Kroll. I do a lot of incident response, ransomware incidents. I do a lot with Cape because I work at Kroll. Cape is our little toy that Eric has created. So that the tool itself, Cape, is not open source, but as I call it, the ancillary files are open source. So that's your targets and your modules for Cape. So just a quick overview of Cape. Cape, you can collect and you can parse artifacts. So targets are basically, hey, this file exists at this location. So there's a target for every single artifact that you can pretty much think of. And then modules are pretty much any command line tool you can create a module for and automate a command line a command for that specific tool. Yeah. So you could basically grab a whole bunch of stuff, parse it all in one fell swoop with Cape. Is kind of how it is. And you can kind of create your own recipe. It's pretty awesome. So
nice.
On the module side, Cape comes with all of Eric's tools. So the main ones I'll talk about is RECMD, EVTX ECMD, SQL ECMD, and I think I'm forgetting one. But they have their own ancillary files, which are like maps or batch files, which they use those files to so for instance, RECMD is the registry parser. Most of the registry is really boring. There's nothing forensically interesting. So this batch file will basically say, it's like a reverse filter in a way. It's like, whatever's in this batch file, I want you to present to me if it exists. And if it's not in this batch file, then I don't want to see it. So it's basically a curated file that has all the interesting locations in the registry. And so whenever you use Cape or RECMD, you can point to that batch file as like, hey, this is what I want you to pull from the registry. And so that's open source. Anyone can add to that batch file. So I do a lot of work with that because those are the tools that I use every day, and I just saw room for improvement. And I'm of one of those mindsets where, if no one else is doing it, then why don't you just do it? Because, it just takes that. Just showing up is half the battle. So then it's just a matter of follow through. Showing up and follow through. That's really, it's as simple as that. So yeah, I kind of ran away with that the last probably year and a half. I've done a lot of stuff with RECMD, SQL ECMD, which would be SQL queries, SQL-like queries. That's a great tool because that could be a good validation tool for people who do mobile forensics. I haven't really done many mobile forensics or many mobile forensic cases in the last probably 2 years or so. But looking back, when I used to do phones all the time, I didn't really know much about SQLite databases at the time. I was I was a button pusher back then. But now, I have 60 SQLite queries that I've written myself. Not that that's anything super fancy, but now I'm comfortable in SQLite. I'm very now I understand more what was on those phones back in the day when I was looking at them. I can't go back in time and go re-examine them and go look for new things or make my own queries, but sometimes you just got to do. And it's okay to fail. It's okay to not be great at something at first, and it's just really follow through.
You only know what you know.
At the time. We were actually having that conversation earlier about SQLite and button pushing and kind of actually if you just take the time to learn and teach yourself just how this data is stored and how these applications and these devices are accessing that data and pulling it and storing it and editing it, then there's so much more that you can understand and now do without necessarily relying on the forensic tool, or at least be able to explain what the forensic tool is doing under the hood.
It really is amazing. I've only recently demystified that for me, probably within the last year. I think if you go look on my GitHub and see when my first SQL ECMD commit was, it was probably about a year ago. So before that, I wasn't really good at SQLite. I can tell you at what point in time, based on my my commits on GitHub, when I started getting familiar with certain things. It's amazing. Once you get the concept of SQLite, or even just use a visual SQL builder, because that's how I learned. I didn't learn by typing select by myself and then select from whatever as inner joins and left joins. No, I used a graphical user interface that has the check boxes, and then I can drag a line that does the left join, and I can switch that to inner join if I want, and then I can test, see what it looks like.
I did exactly the same.
Yeah.
and then I just got Paul Sanderson's book, just to compound it, and that's almost like the Bible. His book.
Sanderson's Forensics, and then read the book afterwards because you get all the picture joins and everything.
There is, but there's so many open source free tools that are browser based for SQL.
Yes.
That
I think that's
absolutely.
I don't know if that's considered a programming language per se. It's a language, but I don't know if it's a programming language. But I feel like that's like a gateway into potentially getting into coding, because then there's certain things in syntax that you got to understand with SQLite. So it's a really great like quick win. I think like you can. It does not take very long to get good at SQLite. Obviously, to master it, it would take a much longer. But to do a simple select, left join, I think Alexis has said in the past, like left join is like the go-to for. For forensics.
Pretty much.
So
pretty much.
It's not hard to string that together,
I don't think right join exists in SQLite, does it?
I've never had one.
It's in full SQL. It's in full SQL, but not SQLite.
In full SQL, yeah.
I don't think right join's in SQLite. I might be wrong. Someone might be able to correct me on that one.
Yeah, you know our Twitter account's just going to be pounded.
Yeah. And that's okay. That's okay. I'm always wrong. I'm told this a lot. It's fine. But SQLite's obviously not got the full capability of SQL.
Yeah.
And I think from a query language perspective, there's certain things that were left out of SQLite, so it doesn't actually pass those queries, I think.
Yeah, and
I'm willing to be corrected.
I've never had a right join that I could do. It always yelled at me. I use Navicat to use the query builder, and it's always yelled at me like that's not possible. I'm like, okay, well I guess it's just not possible, and that's okay that I don't quite fully understand it. I know what the left join and inner join does because that works for my needs. I'm not going to be a SQL database administrator anytime soon. So you don't have to be that level just to do SQL related forensics. You really don't.
Yes.
And SQLite is great too because there's so many artifacts that are SQLite. I don't need to tell you guys this. You guys are mobile guys. Browser history. Most browsers, everything's Chromium nowadays. Firefox, places.SQLite, and there's like 15 other different SQLite databases. Internet Explorer is pretty much the only one that you can't do, and that's just an ESE database, which you can't really query. You just dump. That's it. You just dump from the root. So.
Yeah, I mean, so many mobile apps now are just WebKits that are just kind of recycled and regurgitated. I mean, pretty much every mobile app that's being made now is pretty much just a Chromium WebKit
Electron
base.
Like Discord's Electron, I know that.
But Discord's Electron, but they're just using all of these kind of templates, cookie cutter kind of app building, and they all have the same folder structure underneath them, and then in those certain folders you've got those SQLite databases.
See, we've done the normal to Andrew. We've gone off at a tangent. So you're telling us about GitHub.
Sorry, yes. I want to hear about all the projects. That's what I really want to get to. That's what I really want to get to. I want to hear the projects.
Yeah, so Cape's a big one, and that's a big one for me just because I use it every day, and that was also, for lack of a better term, my first love, right? It was the first one that my first commit I ever did on GitHub. Like, I had no idea what I was doing. I was like shaking when I hit create pull request. I had no idea what I was doing. And then once, Eric merged it, I was like, oh, that was it. Okay. A couple next times were a little shaky. Oh, okay. After that, like, I'm good. I can do this. And then it was just a matter of learning the ins and outs of each tool. So, and that's actually tying in the Discord server. Recently created a DFIR GitHub project channel, which I then created an organization as like a company on GitHub, and I made one for the Digital Forensics Discord server, geared more towards community projects within that community. So, for instance, I made a repo within that organization called, what's it called? GitHub Learning Playground. So this is one I want to talk about. GitHub Learning Playground. You can literally do whatever you want to it. If you don't know how to do a pull request, you should change that by the end of this week. Go find this repo, fork it. I show you how to do it. I got GIFs and all that stuff. I'm known for GIFs. I love GIFs.
Love GIFs.
Oh, they're great. They're great. ShareX. Make sure you download ShareX and use that to make your GIFs. It's fantastic. You can add anything. You can add hi on there, and I will merge it in, just so you get those repetitions of how to do a pull request. And then once you do your fork, the main repo is going to keep getting added to, so yours is going to fall behind. And I show you how to fetch from upstream, fetch and merge, because I see this with Cape a lot. People will fork the Cape repo, and then 2 years go by, and then they try and do a pull request. It's like you're operating off of a sheet of music that's 2 years old, and there's been 1,000 commits since then. So I lay out, the fetch upstream and merge to make sure your fork is caught up to date, and then you make your changes, and then you do your pull request, and then contribute to the project. So that's literally a GitHub learning playground is what it's called, and that's what it is you can do whatever you want. I don't care. Within reason, right?
Within reason.
Let's keep it rated G. Let's keep
it clean, people.
No,
keep it clean.
No nuclear launch codes. I don't need that attention. So I would strongly recommend, if you have no idea what a pull request is, just go look on there and learn about it, try it out, because especially with the GitHubification of DFIR, which is, I read an article about that. I think it was like a year or two ago, something like that. So much stuff's on GitHub. It's insane. A lot of stuff's moving to there. Markdown is an awesome, again, language. Language. I don't know if it's so much a language, but it's a syntax. It's a syntactical language, I guess, is a term that I'll use. It's
coin the phrase.
Syntactical language. So it's a good thing to know. You can write books in Markdown nowadays on LeanPub. It's crazy. That's pretty awesome. It's good things to know. GitHub, Markdown, they're not going away anytime soon, so that's a place to learn it.
I keep promising myself to get better at GitHub. I must admit, I've got an account on there. I've got some repos. I've done some bits, but I'm really rusty with it. And
we even featured it on the last podcast, didn't we? With DFIR Science, sort of indicating how to push articles. So
he created a great video on that, and that was I'm glad he did that.
Fantastic.
Yes.
So I'm going to go back. I'm going to rewatch that video. I'm going to go onto the playground, and I'm going to.
That's our homework.
Yeah. I'm gonna make some kind of pulls and stuff.
So with all this time that you have with no children,
yes,
no excuses for you.
Yeah. So I'll make this pledge to you now, Andrew. Before Christmas, I will do something on the playground.
Do a pull request, and I will merge it.
I'll do a pull request.
And then do another one, and then do another one, and by the third one, you should be like, oh, that's it.
That's my homework. That's what I'm going to go and do. So if you see any requests coming through from an account called Brew This, then that's me.
Awesome.
Yeah, and you can laugh at how silly I am.
I would never do that. No.
It's all right. I'm thick-skinned. It's
fine. Let's see. A couple other. There's 3 projects I'm working concurrently. And 3
more. He doesn't stop, does he?
He
doesn't stop. There's more.
I got way more. I got way more. So these are all related.
I'm excited.
These are all related. So I'm gonna kind of slaughter his name a little bit. Nasruddin Ben Chirali, I think I got it right, is a security researcher over on your side of the pond. Him and I have collaborated on a repo that he actually started called EVTX and ETW resources. And basically, kind of the simplified explanation of what it is when you install Windows, there's all these different event log providers. We're all familiar with the application log, the security log, all that stuff on Windows boxes. Well, within each of those event logs, those channels, as they're called, the .evtx files, sometimes there's multiple providers that log to the same file. So, the application log, for instance, is a third-party, just kind of dumping ground. So, Sophos will dump their logs there. Symantec will dump their entries into that application.evtx log, and whatever else you have installed, that logs to an event log, it'll go to the application log. Each one of those are called a provider. So Windows ships with what I've come to find out is 800 to 900 providers per, and by default, only about 250 of them are enabled. So when you go into Windows Event Viewer, you can enable an event log, to start logging whatever it logs. Well, the community, really the IT community, probably hasn't had visibility on, do the math, whatever 250 divided by 900 or 800 is, that remainder, none of us have any idea what those event numbers are, what those event IDs are, what those event messages are. I mean, there's potentially, I don't know, millions? I don't know. There's a lot.
That's a lot.
So there is a really good tool by Pavel. He's one of the co-authors for Windows Internals. I can't remember his last name, but his first name's Pavel. And so you can you can install that on your computer. You can it's a portable program. And you can enumerate each one of those providers. It's a really manual process, but I found a way to automate it a little bit, and it'll basically create an XML file for each of those providers that'll show, here's the event number or the event ID, here's the event message, regardless of whether or not anything has been logged with it. So,
wow.
So it gives you visibility on what every single Windows possible event could be, ever.
Yeah.
Like ever, regardless of whether you have it enabled or not. So that's what that is. So, 2 other projects. When vanilla, these are 2 of my repos. So vanilla Windows reference and then vanilla Windows registry hives. So vanilla is a term I like to use for something that's just like, it's just clean. It's the most plain ice cream flavor, right? So a plain Windows install, a vanilla Windows install, right when you get to that startup screen, you're right at the desktop, right there. That's where we're at. So what I do is with Nasruddin, he created a nice PowerShell one-liner to where you can effectively do a dir listing from the C drive recursively on that vanilla install, and you're going to get every MD5, SHA-256, creation, modified date of what's normal. And that's very important in incident response, is knowing what's normal and what's not normal. Because bad guys are going to put, lol.dll in the program data folder, and you should know that doesn't ship with Windows,
A quick shout. I mentioned that I briefly dabbled in instant response, and I think the first book I got handed when I made that transition from like just digital forensics was one that big on PowerShell, and it was literally Get to Learn PowerShell.
Yeah,
and that is a beast, isn't it?
It is a beast, but at the same time, because I'm trying to learn it now, it is very friendly in that it's plain English. It's verb, noun. That's helpful. Get child item, move item, copy item, and then you got to figure out the switches and arguments after that. But it is a very plain English language.
I just started, I think I started like with folder creation.
Mm-hmm.
So if you started a new case, the folder creation was exactly the same. And then I shared it with you, didn't
You've
I?
got your script, haven't
you?
Yeah.
And it's just, that was how I was told to start learning, was just do the basics and then learn how you can just tab through. And like you say, it's just so friendly.
It is. Solve a boring problem. That's what I've been doing lately. Because once I land the plane here on these 3 research projects, I did use PowerShell to automate some of the boring stuff. So I'll quick finish up on this. So basically what it's going to do is it's going to generate a CSV that has a listing of every single file that is on a vanilla Windows install. And so you're going to know what file paths are normal, right? And the SHA values, the hashes of those values, or of those files, and some of the security attributes and all that stuff. So nothing like that really exists. I think there's hash sets out there. I know there are hash sets out there, but a lot of them are in proprietary formats, or they're just, I don't know, this is kind of fulfilling a need that we both kind of had. Like, this needs to exist. So it's a really arduous process, and I'll talk about registry hives, and I'll talk a little bit more about the process. So vanilla Windows registry hives is the same thing. It's on that vanilla Windows install, right when you get to that startup screen, you're over there on the desktop. What do the registry hives look like right now? I want to know it's normal. No one's touched them. No one's opened anything. There's nothing in the user assist because nothing's been opened. No GUI programs have been opened, anything like that. What does it look like? So I'm dumping all those to JSON. And I'm also providing the hives themselves so you can then download them, parse them yourself, see what they look like. So when you're looking at a possibly infected registry hive, hey, I have a Windows 10 version 1809 build 17763.123. Let's go look at a baseline vanilla registry hive or a CSV recursive dump of every single file that's on the file system, or let's see what event log providers were on that system. That's more for event log research, but the vanilla registry hives and the vanilla Windows reference are really going to help, like the IR crowd. So what's going to be cool about these projects is, on all 3 of them, they're all related because I create a VM with the ISO for that particular version of Windows, and then I take snapshots. So first thing I do is I do vanilla Windows reference, so I'm doing that recursive dir listing using PowerShell. Once that's done, then I go back to a snapshot where it's clean, and then I do the vanilla registry hives because I know for the EVTX one, I have to open 2 GUI tools, so that's going to create 2 entries for user assist and the ntuser.dat, or the user class. So I don't want that. That's not vanilla, and I don't want to have to keep snapshotting after every single thing that I do. So I go through an ISO, I do all 3 projects, I keep a nice spreadsheet where I'm tracking my progress. I have like 200 more versions to go of Windows, because every time, Windows 10, there's all the way from 1507, 1511, 16.0, whatever, all the way through, and then there's like monthly updates right around like 1803 and 1809. I want to know what the difference is between 1803 November update and 1803 December update. I want to know.
Yeah.
And we're going to diff that every single version of Windows as far back as PowerShell will allow me, because at some point PowerShell didn't exist.
Yeah.
That's what the goal is, and it's an arduous process because it's very manual, but there are certain things, going back to our PowerShell conversation, that I can automate, such as, for instance, when I do the EVTX enumeration of all the providers, there's 2 tools I use. An automated keyboard presser, which automates the enter down, enter down, enter down that has to go 850 times in order to populate the XMLs. There's that. So I have a PowerShell script that just opens it for me, so I don't have to go find it and double click. Like, I throw the PowerShell script on there, right click, run with PowerShell. That pops up, and the tool that I use to enumerate the providers pops up. Saves me 4 clicks. But over 250-ish ISOs that I have to create in VMware.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's going to save me some time. So it was worth the effort. It allowed me to...
It's going to save your sanity.
Save my sanity, and I got a little bit better at PowerShell. Just a little bit better at PowerShell because of it. So it's a win. That's a very intensive process. It's something I've always wished existed. It does exist in various ways, but there's always 1 or 2 things that I wish were different about, the implementation of what I've seen. Whether it's it's website based, but can I really just get a CSV of all this stuff? No, you got to query it through a search box, and then it displays some pretty stuff, and that's great. But I really just want just a CSV of but that's not an option on that resource. Or the hash sets, they're behind a paywall, which is fine. But then when you do pay for them, they're in a proprietary format. So it's this is effectively going to be open source hash sets for every version of Windows, theoretically, ever.
Yeah.
And at your fingertips.
That's huge. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, is there anything that the community, if there's anyone listening, that can kind of do to kind of help support that for you?
Oh boy, the hardest part is getting the ISOs, and usually, you get them from Microsoft themselves through a Visual Studio subscription. So I think that's probably the biggest barrier. If you have those exact ISOs that I'm working off of, you can do that. I think on each repo we have how do you contribute, how do you do this, but I'm not expecting anyone to help with that. That's more it's a painstaking process, and I'm doing it to myself, just like everything else I do. But I know the payoff is going to be worth it, because I'm going to use it. So I'm selfishly doing it for me, and Nasruddin's also doing it for himself. But we know that it's worthwhile because it's going to help the community.
Yeah. That's it. Well, there's the need there. That's because you're in that field
Yes.
and doing that work, and you know that you need it. And then the fact that you're actually going to be offering it out to the community to use as well, if anyone else is in the same situation.
And to be honest, I think that's every time I've written a script. Phil and I have both said we're not native at it, but I can write a script if a problem is causing me a pain.
Yeah.
And I will invest that time to automate it and make it go away.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes, definitely. And then share them with people like me who goes, I've got this problem. You go, I had that problem. Here's how I fixed it. So, yeah. And was there another one, another project?
I'll click through I'll run through 5 more ish. I'll make it real quick. I have an awesome Cape repo. If you're familiar with the awesome repos on GitHub, there's an awesome -insert topic here, it exists. And it's basically just a compilation of all the resources about said topic. One did not exist for Cape. Obviously, I'm involved in Cape, so I have a very good lay of the land of what's out there. So I just compiled it all into a nice, awesome Cape repo. If you go to that repo, literally everything that exists on the internet about Cape should be in that repo right there, just centralized. So There's that. If you do use Cape and you're listening to this, make sure you use the repo that I have, the Cape Easy Tools Ancillary Updater. Cape it's not the easiest thing to update because there's so many different moving parts and so many dependencies on other tools, but I automated all that boring stuff for you. use that script, just right-click Run with PowerShell, and you have it exactly how I configure it for myself in my everyday work at Kroll. So I strongly recommend if you use Cape, because I've seen people that they use Cape, but like they haven't updated it in like a year and a half, and a lot has changed in that sort of time. So this automates it for you. So there's that.
Nice.
What else? I have a DFIR regex repo, which is something that is, again, I made it for myself just because I got so sick of looking for the same regex over and over and over again. So I'm like, I'm just going to make a repo that's common, for examiners, law enforcement alike. So that is a thing, and I'm always taking pull requests on that one. I got stuff like, search for base64, credit card numbers, email addresses, different hash values, IP addresses, MAC addresses, passwords, phone numbers, Discord usernames, that sort of thing. So if you got something that you use at, all the time, please do a pull request to there. So it could just be centralized.
That's awesome.
And also one that has taken off quite a bit, going back to the Digital Forensics Discord server organization, is law enforcement resources. So there is a repo that I made for people who are still in law enforcement within the server, because I found before I made the DFIR GitHub's channel that there were just a lot of people sharing all these resources and links, and there was really no, like, to your point earlier, it's just sitting in the search, maybe buried a little bit. Why don't we just centralize this stuff? Because I know you guys in the UK, in the US, all these different countries, I know you guys use the same resources. So I created that, and there's gotten quite a good bit of traction, a lot of pull requests on it. There's a lot of really good resources that it's entirely pretty much police officer driven at this point. I've contributed very little to it, but it's geared towards law enforcement. So I'll put that out there, for your listeners. Another one that is a collaborative effort with someone else on the server is a DFIR glossary. So it's just a bunch of terms like, Bluetooth analysis. It's like, what would you, like if you were testifying in court, how would you explain what Bluetooth is? Or how would you explain what chain of custody is? Or what encryption is? Ideally, it would have those definitions or alternate definitions, because there were some discussions recently like, hey, how would someone define whatever the term was? And there were like two different responses, and both were right. But
it's a bit like the SANS paper that was written by Heather and other people from within the industry. It's about getting those accepted terms. But like you say, the glossary is a great thing, because I used to include a glossary in every report that I put into court.
Sure.
Yeah.
So then literally the judge, if they weren't au fait with it, they could just refer to the back of the report with a glossary and it would explain it. But I suppose, like you say, two people could totally have different sort of explanations of what. So that's another great resource.
Yeah, fantastic. I didn't know that was.
And we're not there yet, because right now we only have one definition for each term. But ideally, I would like multiple definitions for terms that warrant it. Right? It's not like I'm only going to be happy if there's 3 definitions for each term. Some just don't need it. Right? Some terms are just what they are, and the definition that's there is fine.
And not only that, things are also different across the pond with you guys compared with us. Like, I know Sarah Edwards always freaks out with Apple calling. She always has to do the queries with the torch. She's like, it's a flashlight. No, it's a torch in the UK. So
And in the military, it's a moonbeam. A moonbeam. At least in the Marine Corps, I'll say that. So, and to your point about the different regions of the world having different definitions, that was kind of the point of it too. Is like, the law enforcement UK people are super active on the server, so this would benefit them, but also to see for us in the US, what definitions are you guys using, and then vice versa. You can kind of like compare notes a little bit. And I don't really know if there's any centralized place where that exists currently. So that's kind of what again, everything's based on a need. I feel like this needs to exist. I feel like the UK and the ISO world and the US and other regions, of course, right? Just a central area like, hey, for examination, here's the US definition. Hey, here's the UK ISO definition. Hey, here's some random definition from Swiss police or something. Australia, Like, it would be really cool to have that just centralized. And we're not quite there yet, but that was the intent behind this.
It's a really good point, because especially with cybercrime and kind of digital crime in general, we're getting so many more international investigations where you've got collaborations between different law enforcement bodies and different governments and things like that. And everyone will be using their different terms and their different language, kind of colloquialisms and things like that. So, yeah, I think having a central point where you can almost kind of like cross-reference them. So it's like, oh, this is actually the same as this one. It's just this one's used in the US and this one's used in the UK, but they actually mean the same thing. And so people can search for their term, but they can actually see, oh, no, actually, so-and-so across the pond, they were using that term.
And I know when I've done webinars, I've spoken to my colleagues in the US who are ex-law enforcement, and I've sort of said, look, I'm going to talk about this. Is this correct for your... Because it's different. You know, the way we do warrants here in the UK is different from the US. Like, when we get a warrant to enter an address in the UK, we can pretty much seize anything in that property. We don't have to go with a warrant for a crime and just seize that stuff. If we go in and see another offence, we're taking that as well.
Sure.
We don't. So it's just learning the different, and I've really enjoyed that since I've sort of left law enforcement. I've enjoyed seeing that global, and that's going back to Discord. I like seeing it on there as well.
Yes, I do too. I'm no longer a cop, but I watch from afar. I admire from far. Wish I could still fight the good fight, but I'm living vicariously through them all. So.
I like to think we're still fighting it by helping.
Yeah, we are. It's just a little bit further distance. Yeah.
Helping from the sidelines
rather
than being on the front.
Absolutely. That's really what drives me too, as well.
Oh, amazing. We've got your GitHub repo link. Well, not the repo link. We've got your GitHub account link that everyone can access. What I think we'll probably do is, if we get the different breakdown links for the different repos, we'll put all of those into the description for everybody to be able to find and see and contribute. Hopefully contribute. Yeah. If you're not sure how to contribute, go to the Learning Playground, like I'm going to do, and give it a go and give it a try. And if you want the instruction on how to do it, go to DFIR Science
for the video.
Watch the video,
which is pinned.
See all this community
which is pinned in the DFIR GitHub channel on Discord. So I know it's kind of gotten moved up off the most recent post, but I pinned it there. So
nice.
It'll always be there.
So go to DFIR Discord, go to the video, go to the repos. It's all linked together.
All you gotta do is show up and follow through. That's it.
That's it.
Yep.
Like you were saying. Yeah. That's gonna. I might have to
Simple.
the title of the show. Show up and follow through.
Yeah, that's a good title for this episode.
Going real quick, kind of touching on that. Going back to the military, I had my team leader while we were overseas. Towards the end of our careers, our time in the military, that's when you have the most medals, right? Is towards the end. And he told me very famously, like, all my medals are for perfect attendance. I just showed up, Yeah, you did, because if you didn't show up, you wouldn't have gotten them, whether that combat action ribbon or that, Navy Achievement Medal. You had to show up.
Yeah.
And he followed through.
Be there.
Yeah.
There we go.
That's it.
Decided.
Yeah, nice. I like it. As long as no one reads into it the wrong way.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm not going to go there.
Yeah, he's going down a UK tangent.
I'm going to
follow through.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
Have you heard that one?
No.
Yeah.
No, I won't go there. No. It's fine. It's fine. We're going to keep it clean.
All right.
We'll tell you off.
This is where I get told off. This is where I get reprimanded later on. I'm going to use my favourite phrase and say I'm conscious of time because we are just approaching the hour mark. So, Andrew, thank you ever so much for giving the time and telling us all about all the different things you're doing in the community and for all of the things you do for the community as well. I think we both speak on behalf of so many other people to say we couldn't do it without you. So please keep doing what you're doing and keep being the awesome legend that you are.
Oh, thanks. I just want to leave things better than I found them. It's really about it.
That's awesome.
That's all it is.
I think you've already achieved that, and just everything else is now a bonus. So,
thank you. Appreciate it.
No, thank you. No, we mean it absolutely. So, but is it before we kind of close out? We're not done with you yet. We're going to close this segment, but we're not done with you yet. But is there anything else you want to kind of throw out there, or kind of throw out to the listeners, or anything? Or?
I'll just reiterate: GitHub you really should learn that if you're doing forensics. There's so many resources there. You have something to contribute, even if it's as simple, I'm serious, as a spelling error. That just doing that's kind of what I first started out with was, just a spelling error. Oh, I'm on the Microsoft documentation, because all Microsoft documentation is on GitHub. Like, that's the back end of it. If you find a spelling error, you can do a pull request, and yeah, it's got to be reviewed by 3 or 4 people, but you've contributed. And then you've learned the repetition of how to contribute to someone else's project. Just, if you don't know what you're doing, just go on GitHub, make an account, find a spelling error, and fumble the way through, just correcting a spelling error. You don't even need to know how to code. You don't need to understand syntax. Just simple. So much stuff doesn't require coding. It just requires again, showing up, following through, and just sharing what you know. You do have something to contribute. So I really want to hammer that home, because we've had good traction with the efforts recently with getting people to contribute on GitHub, and more people are doing pull requests I've never seen before, and I would like to see that continue. So, and I think we will be able to create more community contributors like the Alexis Brignonis, the Josh Hickmans. There's more of those out there. They just don't know it yet. And once they do their first one, they're going to be like, it's going to click. You're going to get your aha moment, and then you're going to go down a rabbit hole, and then you're going to realize the more I know, the more I don't know, and then you'll back out a little bit, and you're like, okay, yeah, I'm just going to stick to this, but it's still an amazing contribution, because that's more than what 95% people do. So, simple fact of the matter. So,
Nice.
There we go.
Awesome sign off.
As Andrew has said, show up, follow through.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you again, Andrew. Really, really appreciate it. It's been great chatting with you.
Likewise.
And really appreciate you giving the time. So thank you very much. And but don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere just yet.
Thanks, Andrew.
Yep.
Thank you. Such a lovely bloke.
And I thought I was busy.
He was very, very busy.
Yeah.
It just doesn't stop. There's just so much stuff going on.
Yeah.
There's just so many fingers and so many pies.
I think he described it really well. He's buzzing with this energy, and just let him spend it.
Yeah, just let him, just kind of give him the freedom to go off and do it.
I just wish I had that energy.
I know.
I've got so many great ideas in here. And I think the biggest lesson is, even if I can just go and do a spell check on it, then I'm going to do my part.
Yeah, I'm very excited about that.
Because you are very good at checking. Yeah. So,
I'm quite excited.
So Andrew may regret inviting you to that little challenge.
I have been described, especially with my training days, I've been described as a frustrated teacher who get my red pen out.
Yeah. So, Andrew, you may have unleashed a beast.
Seriously, please don't hate me. Don't block me, please.
But we did manage to convince Andrew to give us a faux pas, didn't we?
We did. There was no. It's not under duress. There was no.
No.
Yeah, it was voluntarily given. So, shall we have a listen?
Let's have a listen.
Let's have a listen. See what he said with his faux pas. Okay, and we are back.
Yeah.
We are back for our, it's my favourite part of the show. Yeah. Our forensic faux pas. So, for those of you who have never heard the forensic faux pas or not watched the show before or listened to the show, forensic faux pas is where we like to encourage, and not under duress. Not under duress. We're not pressured. No. We're not forced. We've not kind of put a gun to Andrew's head, kind of said, you have to tell us something. It's all voluntary. So we try to encourage our guests to share maybe some experience where forensics or incident response or cyber has not quite gone to plan.
Yeah, and lessons have been learned.
Lessons learned. So anyone who's new to the industry or kind of starting out in their digital forensics career, just to reassure you that this stuff does happen. So when it inevitably happens to you, it's okay. Yeah. We've all been there. We've all done it. That's the idea behind it anyway. So without further ado, Andrew, we understand that you do have a forensic faux pas for us. So whenever you're ready, fire away. Enlighten us with what your words of wisdom.
Sure. So I'll tell a story. It'll be very vague on purpose just because it was from my time in law enforcement. working a very sensitive case. It was related to child sexually abusive material, so we were conducting a search warrant at the suspect's house to look for said child sexually abusive material. We were in the suspect's house for probably about 8 hours or so, looking through everything, per the search warrant. But we didn't, by the end of, when our search was complete, we didn't find really anything, any, digital evidence that was going to yield what we were looking for, what the search warrant was for. So while we were on scene, we had officers standing outside of the house just as like a general security, uniformed officers. And I will caveat say they have no forensic training whatsoever at all. Not the most techie people, with all due respect. But once the search was done and we were packing up and leaving, one of them made an observation and said, "Hey, the trash has not been taken out yet. It's like almost 4 o'clock. It's amazing that the trash is still here. Has anyone looked in the trash?" And we all looked at each other. We're like, "No."
Wait a minute, there's trash.
Yeah, you probably know where the story's going. Guess what was in the trash? So we pull the trash. We find some evidence, some hard drives, and that had what we were looking for. Lots of it. Just
in the trash.
So, right. So, as simple as that. Sometimes you get a little tunnel visioned. Without that officer with no forensic training whatsoever, we never would have found the forensic evidence.
Yeah.
Because they were able to take a step back, see the forest for the trees. Yep. Hey, did anyone do this? Simple question.
Yeah.
No, we've been here for 8 hours. No one ever thought of it. Oh, well, I've been staring at it all day. So it kind of goes back to the earlier segment where even if you think you have nothing to contribute, you can still contribute.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So kind of tying in that lesson a little bit. Again, very broad, very vague story on purpose, but
I like
that
it.
was a...
I like it. It's a valuable...
Simple but effective.
It's just got this brilliant image of someone going, anyone check that?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah, you've teared up 99% of the property, except that's the 1%, and that's where
it's just
everything
just
is.
hard drives lying in there.
That's it.
And they are simple lessons. Like I remember one of the ones that I always used to sort of advocate is always when you seize like a suspect's phone or computer and you want to seize their most up-to-date one, of course you do, because we don't want to investigate every device. But if they have got an old one there, bring that as well, because that PIN or that password can probably be cracked, and I can guarantee you they're still using the same one.
Yeah,
sure.
And these are just all these little lessons that sometimes you get so sort of your mindset on scanning through walls, looking in lofts,
taking off door panels,
and
Yep.
And there it was in the trash.
Yeah.
So.
Did you check the trash?
Oh wait, whose job was that? Who's going to check the trash?
Yeah. Everyone's pointing fingers. Hey, I thought you were doing that. I thought you were doing it. I thought you would have thought to do that. No one did. So
I'm just imagining it almost like some kind of cop show, like sketch show, just comedy sketch shows.
And that officer was probably watching you guys sweating, looking through every part of the house, thinking, "I know it's in the trash." Yeah, I'll tell them at the end.
Yeah. It's a miracle that the trash didn't come earlier that day. I don't know if the trash truck just didn't bother with that one because of cars being outside the house, or I don't know what it is, but we were very lucky at 4 o'clock in the afternoon to have trash still here, because my trash comes at like 7 in the morning. So
hey, that's the one time that you're actually happy about the inefficiency of local councils.
Sure, absolutely. So yeah, that would be my forensic faux pas.
That's perfect.
Like it. Thank you ever so much for sharing that with us. I like that. Yes. Yeah. That is definitely going in the library. we keep thinking that at the end of the series we're going to have like a best of maybe thing and get people to vote on them.
Definitely a GIF can be created out of that one.
Yes, that's definitely.
Oh, absolutely. A GIF can be created out of anything.
Definitely. We need to find something or create a GIF. For the trash. Yeah. I think we need to get you looking in some trash now.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, we'll do
Yeah.
that.
He's volunteering you to do
Yeah,
that.
yeah. And you can tell he used to be a sergeant, and I was just the lower rank.
Ah, yes. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Don't stop.
I like the knife hand too. I don't know if that was a military thing. I know that's a thing here in the Marine Corps that
Yeah.
when you're given commands.
Well rehearsed. Learn that at sergeant school.
That's right.
Brilliant. Well, thank you once again, Andrew, for your time.
Yes.
We know you're going to be very busy, and spoke about it in the news section, Log4j, so we know you're going to be busy. But,
Yes, yeah. When that does eventually hit, then we wish you all the luck. Best of luck with it.
Awesome, guys.
thanks very much, Andrew.
It's been an absolute pleasure.
Yeah,
And,
thank you.
You take care, and hopefully we'll speak soon.
Sounds good.
All right.
Take care, guys. Be safe.
Take care. Bye-bye. It was a good one.
In the trash.
In the trash.
Yeah.
Come on. The hero of the day,
yeah.
was the uniformed officer standing outside.
Which generally they are.
Yes, absolute heroes, every single one of them. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I like
It's
it.
a very
just
good lesson learned.
Yeah, it is a good lesson learned.
Yeah, I like it. I think it should go down as digital awareness for officers.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily have to have the knowledge of forensics, but the digital awareness of what's out there and what could be possible. So, well,
And just having that wider picture.
yeah,
Because we all get tunnel vision.
we do.
And I'm an advocate of that when people start investigations in digital or any sort of investigation. It's very easy to get drawn down a rabbit hole and get that tunnel vision.
Yeah, just going to take that step back, kind of bigger picture, kind of like, right.
Definitely.
Yeah. So, yeah, whoever that was, well done.
Yeah, kudos.
Yeah, like it. I think that's us done. Isn't
It is. Yeah, we've tried to be aware of the time.
We have.
Yeah.
We have. But to everybody who's been listening and dialing into us, not just today, but to all the shows up until now, thank you ever so much. We do it for you. We really appreciate all your support and feedback. If you've got any thoughts or feedback you want to send us, send them in.
Good or bad, it's it's welcome to hear if we can improve it in any way. We're aware this episode is going to have a few extra sounds going on from outside because, as Phil said, we're in a different recording area.
A few sirens
and stuff. I'll do my best to edit them out. There's somebody who co-host works from Sweden. He likes picking me up on our sounds. Hence why for those of you with video, we've got our microphone on a nice soft mat.
But
yeah,
tables too much.
So any sort of good, bad, please feel. Just let us know because it always helps.
And you're going to ask me what the email address is, aren't you?
I am. Or Twitter.
I really should prepare for this, shouldn't I?
So Twitter is Chewing the Fat Pod.
Yes, and we have... no, that's the wrong one.
But yeah...
podcast.ctf@gmail.com.
There we go.
There we go.
But yeah, and that just leaves us to... Obviously, we're going to release this just for the holidays. So for those of you who do get to take some time off, use it, relax, have a very happy holidays.
Yes.
Enjoy the time with your loved ones and family and friends.
Yeah, and if you are having to work over the holidays, as so many people in our industry do, appreciate it. We've done it in the past. Yeah. If you're going to have to work, stay safe out there, and try not to overdo it. Kind of enjoy what time you can. Yeah. So we really
and you've now got a podcast to listen to.
You do exactly. So have a listen. Also, we did mention it earlier in the show. But kind of, we mentioned about the Forensic Forecast Awards, putting any nomination aside completely. This is not for us. At all. Genuinely, it's a fantastic award kind of series, and there's so many great nominations that go out there. So if you're not familiar with it, and you're in no way not encouraging anyone to necessarily vote for us in any way, shape, or form, we're just happy to have been mentioned. But go out there and go and have a listen to the other shows, the other podcasts. Go and have a look at some of the tools.
Some of the great work that's been done by DFR Science, by Josh Hickman.
Yeah.
There's too many to sit here and name now. But
absolutely,
if you want to say thank you, Forensic Forecast, you heard it from Andrew.
Yeah.
In regards to the DFR Discord, how much that meant receiving that award.
Yeah. So that validation that it gave him and the other mods and stuff for the server and things. So it's all run off of community nominations and support. So go and have a look, check it out, and if you get the time, cast some votes. And enjoy it. And yeah, on that note,
we will see you next year.
Yeah, we'll see you in 2022.
See you.
Take care, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.